Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I'd like to take this time to welcome you all to the April 2024 edition of the St. Charles Parish Public Schools Board Meetings. Before the meeting comes to order, Mark Singleton, Jr., an 8th grade student at Raymond K. Smith Middle School, will lead the prayer before the pledge. He's a member of the RKS robotics team, football team, basketball team, and baseball team, and he has also made the honor roll for the first quarter. Following the prayer, the meeting will come to order. The first item will be the pledge, which will be led by Mr. Al Suffren. Would everyone please rise?
Good evening, everyone. May you please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we are meeting tonight to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in a spirit of fairness so that we can make sound and purposeful decisions on behalf of the students, parents, and employees of the St. Charles Parish Public School System. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source and guidance tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record show that all board members are present with the exception of Mr. Scott Cody and the superintendent, Dr. Ken Ortling, and our secretary, Ms. Shelley Babineau. The next item on the agenda is a resolution in honor of Mrs. Jessie Bryant Christoph. Whereas Mrs. Jessie Bryant Christoph, a native of Hornville, Louisiana, attended Hornville Colored School and graduated from Leland College in Baker, Louisiana in 1949. And whereas Mrs. Jessie Bryant Christoph dedicated 30 years of service from 1949 to 1980 to education as a teacher at the historic Hornville Colored School, George Washington Carver High School, and Hornville Junior High School.
And whereas Ms. Jessie Bryant Christoph unwavering commitment to education positively impacted the lives of countless students throughout her tenure. Whereas Mrs. Jessie Bryant Christoph's contribution as an educator have left an indelible mark on the St. Charles Parish Public Schools community. And whereas Ms. Jessie Bryant Christoph is the only surviving teacher from the Hornville Colored School, further underscoring the significance of her contributions to educational history. And
whereas the St. Charles Parish School Board wishes to express its deepest gratitude and appreciation to Mrs. Jessie Bryant Christoph for her significant contributions to education. Be it resolved that the St. Charles Parish School Board hereby extend its deepest thanks and admiration to Mrs. Jessie Bryant Christoph for her dedicated service to education. And be it further resolved that a page in the April 17th, 2024 board meeting minute book be designated for the sole purpose of inscribing this resolution, and that a copy of this resolution be presented to Ms. Jessie Bryant Christoph and her family in recognition of her invaluable service to the St. Charles Parish Public Schools District. I move approval.
a second.
A motion and a second to approve the resolution in honor of Mrs. Jessie Bryant Christoph. We have Mrs. Christoph on the screen live with us tonight. Ms. Christoph, can you hear me?
She said, can you hear her? She can hear you. Yes,
Ms. Christoph, would you like to say anything to the board and to the audience that's here in your honor?
yes,
Oh, that's not Ms. Christoph, that's her daughter, Dion.
yes. She's right here. She's ready.
Okay, we'd like to hear from her.
Go ahead, Mom.
I am so excited to be the recipient of this spectacular occasion. I'd like to thank the persons who had the vision to create this event. Please forgive me if I have omitted anyone who helped me to become the person I was created to be. I must remember Mrs. Davenport and the village where I grew up, because the village made sure that you were where you were supposed to be, and if you weren't, they corrected you and then notified your parents. Fortunately, I had an aunt who lived in New Orleans, so I was able to move to New Orleans to continue my education beyond the 7th grade. I graduated from Gilbert Academy, which is presently now De La Salle. I accept this resolution with humility, profound gratitude, and appreciation. I'm getting my flowers while I can smell them, and I am on cloud 10 from the time I heard the news. I'll close with a college for my college motto. I'll leave you with this thought: non nobis sed alis, not for ourselves, but for others. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will never forget this.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Christoph. Is there any other board discussion?
I would just like to say that Ms. Christoph taught me civics in 9th grade, and we did a project, and our group won the district. We went on to Nicholls State, won the region, and then we ended up in Baton Rouge. So she taught me way back when I was in 9th grade civics, and I want to thank her for the contribution she made to my educational career. Thank you, Ms. Christoph.
She is saying, who is that speaking?
Mrs. Christoph was also my civics teacher at George Washington. I said Mrs. Christoph also taught me, or did her best to teach me civics at George Washington Carver High School. Thank you, Ms. Christoph.
You did your best to teach him civics.
Any other board discussion? If not, please cast your vote.
She said the whole audience is giving you a standing ovation.
Jesus.
Okay, that resolution is unanimously approved. I'd like to thank the technology department for making this event happen. And I'd like to thank all of the really old and familiar faces that came out here in honor of this resolution. Thank you all very, very much. Our next item is the National Mental Health Awareness Month proclamation, and that proclamation will be read by Mrs. Karen Boudreaux.
Thank you, Mr. President. Whereas National Mental Health Awareness Month was established in 1949 to increase awareness of the importance of mental health and wellness, And whereas National Mental Health Awareness Month raises awareness of trauma and the impact it can have on the physical, emotional, and mental well-being of children, families, and communities. And whereas approximately 1/2 of chronic mental illness begins by the age of 14. And whereas addressing the complex mental health needs of children, youth, and families today is a fundamental to our children's future. And whereas suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States and the second leading cause among young adults. And whereas school-based mental health professionals recognize that early identification and treatment can make a difference in successful management of mental illness and recovery. And whereas public education can encourage mental health and help improve the lives of children and families affected by mental illness. And whereas school-based mental health professionals, through their multi-tiered systems of support, serve and support the social, emotional wellness needs of our students. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the members of the St. Charles Parish School Board, in conjunction with the National Alliance of Mental Illness, hereby proclaim the month of May as National Mental Health Awareness Month in the St. Charles Parish Public School System. I move that we adopt this.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second to adopt the 2024 National Mental Health Awareness Month proclamation. Is there any discussion? If not, please cast your vote.
I'm sorry, Mr. Alexander. If I could please ask Ms. Jerry Smith, Executive Director of Child Welfare and Attendance and Student Services, to please come up and say a few words.
Good evening, board members and superintendent, and thank you for this opportunity, because it's just a privilege to be able to say a few words in recognition of such a special group of clinicians. Notebooks, calculators, pens, pencils, common items that children come to school with, right? Oftentimes, however, they also come to school with a plethora of emotions, trauma, anxiety, and other social emotional needs. Our St. Charles Parish Public Schools mental health professionals serve as our trauma clinicians. They facilitate behavioral health universal screening for approximately 6,000 students in grades 3 through 12, and also provide multi-tiered interventions and supports driven by the data of that screening. They have made major strides to infuse our schools with critical and vital social emotional supports and interventions for students as well as staff. Their clinical trauma expertise has supported our district's vision to build a responsive school-based mental health program that supports the development of foundational social emotional learning competencies. This special team of clinicians have worked diligently assessing and providing interventions to our students who have been impacted by trauma and other adverse childhood experiences to ensure that all of our students reach their full academic, social, and emotional potentials. Tonight, we thank each of you for your untiring administration of social emotional first aid. As I call your name, please come up to the front so that we can take a photo. Christy Jackson, Aaron Roberts, Gabriella Bork, Jamie Mason, Kristen Santani, Marquita George, and Ty Com.
Is there any other discussion? If not, please cast your vote. The 2024 National Mental Health Awareness Month proclamation is unanimously approved. Next item on our agenda is the 2024 National School Nurses Week proclamation, and Mr. Al Suffren will read that proclamation.
Thank you, Mr. President. School nurses are vital to St. Charles Parish Public Schools, so it's my pleasure to present this proclamation. 2024 National School Nurses Week Proclamation. Whereas students are the future, and by investing in them today, we are ensuring our world for tomorrow. And whereas families deserve to feel confident that their children will be cared for when they are at school, and whereas all students have a right to have their physical and mental health needs safely met while in the school setting, and whereas students today face more complex and life-threatening health problems requiring care in school, and whereas school nurses act as a liaison to the school community, families, and healthcare providers on behalf of children's health by promoting wellness and improving health outcomes for our nation's children. And whereas school nurses support the health and educational success of children and youth by providing access to care. And whereas school nurses are vital members of school-based teams. And whereas school nurses understand the link between health and learning and are in a position to make a positive difference for children every day. And whereas school nurses have served a critical role in improving public health and in ensuring students' academic success for more than 100 years. And whereas the turbulent medical crisis of recent years has emphasized the essential role school nurses play in student health and academic success. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the St. Charles Parish School Board, in conjunction with the National Association of School Nurses, hereby proclaim May 6th through the 12th, 2024, as School Nurses Week in the St. Charles Parish Public School System. And I move for adoption of this proclamation.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Suffering and a second by Mr. Gregson. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President, I'd like to invite Ms. Jerry Smith, Executive Director of Child Welfare in Attendance and in Student Services, to please say a few words about our wonderful nurses.
So once again, thank you, board members and superintendent, for an opportunity to say a few words to another special group of team members that we have here tonight. Each year, it is such an honor for me to be able to recognize our school nurses. They really do serve as our district, St. Charles Parish Public Schools healthcare professionals. We have many nursing positions in their ranks tonight. We have our supervisor of student health services, we have our specialty services nurse, we have school nurses, and we also have district nurse paras. This dedicated group of healthcare professionals each and every day go above and beyond to provide first-class care and support to our students, and they even provide support to our staff in emergency situations. Our school nurses play a vital role providing intensive care for our special needs students, while at the same time providing overall care for the entire school community. Some of their key accomplishments this year include providing training resulting in 387 staff trained in the American Red Cross First Aid, AED, and CPR course, 412 district staff trained in medication administration. They have conducted 4,872 vision screenings and 4,157 hearing screenings. They also have supported the district in achieving a 94% immunization rate. Each and every day, our St. Charles Parish Public Schools school nurses navigate absolutely unimaginable challenges of providing top-level medical care that allows all students to thrive in the school environment. Again, we thank them for their tremendous support each and every day. As I call your name, please come up front for a quick photo. Miss Erilyn Honor, Melissa Bird, Abby LaRouge, Chrissy Rockefeller, Jamie Bird, Jenna Zarang, Keely Brown, Lisa Brown, Melissa Scheck-Snyder, Nicole Shulin, Charla Brooks, Tanya Street, Tony Scott, Jessica Hanneman, Linda Joseph, Marcy Hunter, Patrice Harris, Rachel Dufresne, and Sonia Robinson.
I was about to say they're gonna need to form 2 rows.
They're lobbying for a new boardroom.
Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Is there any other discussion? If not, please cast your vote. The 2024 National School Nurses Week proclamation is unanimously approved. Our next item is board and superintendent's recognition, and I will turn this item over to Ms. Alexis Cannon. Ready?
Students. Almonds Elementary School student is the K through 2 Group ESS Art Contest winner, Hayden Harrell. Destrehan High School students were named to the All-District Bowling First Team. Bailey Ickroyd. Ryan Lacey. District Most Valuable Player, Bo Sr. Hawnville High School students were named to the LHSAA All Academic Composite Team. Ryan Gregson. High school students were selected by the Louisiana Department of Education to represent Louisiana in the U.S. Presidential Scholars Program. Destrehan High School's Jonathan Dempsey. Sarah Hebert. Hahnville High School's Aaron Zhang. High school students were named to the Louisiana Music Educators Association's District 7 Honor Choir. Destrehan High School's Jacob Bourgeois, also named to the ACDA All-State Honor Choir. Savannah Burnham. LMEA All-State Honor Choir, Christina Gillette. Kinsey LeBlanc. Named to the ACDA All-State Honor Choir, Kai Suit. ACDA and LMEA All-State Honor Choir, Landon Villaret. ACDA All-State Honor Choir, Angelina Williams. ACDA and LMEA All-State Honor Choir, Isaiah Wingard. Hahnville High School, Raven Brown. ACDA and LMEA All-State Honor Choir, Landon Champagne. ACDA All-State Honor Choir, Milan Coleman. ACDA All-State Honor Choir, Braden Desana. ACDA All-State Honor Choir, Jolie Dupuy. Aiden Elwin Etter. ACDA All-State Honor Choir, JC Harris. Teresa McStay. ACDA All-State, Lucian Michel. Abigail Miguez. Addison Orgeron. ACDA All-State, Brody Ordoin. ACDA All-State, Gabrielle Touchard. LMEA All-State, Rakeem Raspberry. ACDA All-State Craig White. Teams. Hahnville High School Color Guard were named Louisiana, Mississippi Color Guard and Percussion Circuit champions of the Scholastic Regional A River Division. Director Eric Gano and the Color Guard can come up for a photo, please. Lakewood Elementary School's 5th grade festival band received the highest rating possible, sweepstakes, at the District 7 Instrumental Large Ensemble Assessment. Director Monica Monti. Additionally, Lakewood Elementary School's choir received sweepstakes as well at the District 7 Large Ensemble Assessment. Director Brian Martinez is unable to attend, so Ms. Monica Monti is accepting his award on her behalf.
At this time, I'd like to congratulate all the recipients of the superintendent's and board recognition. And at this time, the board will take a short recess to allow anyone who might want to leave this meeting to do so. Okay, we're back in order. The next item on our agenda is approval of the board minutes from March 15th, 2024, March 18th, 2024, March 20th, 2024, and April 10th, 2024.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the minutes as noted.
Have a motion by Mr. Suffering and a second by Mr. Smith. Is there any discussion on these board minutes? If not, please cast your vote. Those 4 board meeting minutes are unanimously approved. Our next item is approval of excess workers' compensation broker. The Risk Management Department solicits brokers on a 3-year cycle. We are in year 3 of 3. Requests for qualifications were sought from several brokers through advertisement. The district received and evaluated 2 responses for the request for qualifications. After thorough evaluations, the selection of Alliant Insurance Services provides the district with high-quality services. This agenda item was reviewed at the Risk Management and Insurance Committee meeting of the board on Monday, April 15, 2024, and is aligned with Goal D of the board's strategic action plan.
Mr. President, I move we approve the selection of Alliant Insurance Services as the excess workers' compensation broker.
I second it.
Have a motion by Mr. Oquin and a second by Mrs. Weber. Is there any discussion? If not, please cast your vote. Approval of excess workers' compensation is unanimous. Next item is approval of faithful performance bond broker. The Risk Management Department solicits brokers on a 3-year cycle. We are in year 3 of 3, and this agenda item was reviewed at the Risk Management and Insurance Committee meeting on April 15th.
Mr. President, I approve this selection. I move to make approval of the selection of Louisiana Insurance Services as the faithful performance bonds broker.
I'll second.
Motion by Mrs. Weber, second by Mr. O'Quinn to select Louisiana Insurance Services as the district's faithful performance bonds broker. Is there any discussion? If not, please cast your vote. That item is unanimously approved. Item 4.04, Phase 2 and 3 Department Reorganization Plan. Lean Frog was contracted to conduct a comprehensive organizational review of St. Charles Parish Public Schools and provide insight and recommendations to the superintendent to improve department structure, reduce inefficiencies, align staff and processes, and optimize resources to better serve students and staff. The Phase 2 and 3 Department Reorganization Plan aligns with Lean Frog's recommendation, which the superintendent evaluates as being in the district's best interest. This item was reviewed at the Personnel and Policy Committee meeting of the board on Monday, April 15, 2024, and is aligned with Goal A and C of the board's strategic action plan.
Mr. President, I'll move that we approve the Phase 2 and 3 Department Reorganization Plan and an approximate investment of $149,573 initially.
A second.
Have a motion by Mr. Suffren and a second by Mrs. Boudreaux. Is there any board discussion? If not, please cast your vote. Phase 2 and 3 Department Reorganization Plan is unanimously approved. 4.05 English Language Program Staffing Formula. During the board retreat held on February 29, 2024, the board reviewed the English language program staffing formulas. The proposed staffing model aims to address the growing spectrum of needs required to serve English language learners within our school district. This agenda item was reviewed at the Personnel and Policy Committee meeting of the board on Monday, April 15, 2024, and is aligned with goals A and C of the board's strategic action plan.
Mr. President, I'll move that we approve the English language program staffing formula at an investment of $691,200.
I second it.
Have a motion by Mr. Suffren and a second by Mrs. Weber. Is there any discussion? If not, please cast your vote. Oh, I'm sorry. Waiting on me. Item 4.05 is unanimously approved. Item 4.06, Mental Health Professional Staffing formula. The district received an allocation of funds through the Elementary and Secondary Schools Emergency Relief Fund program. As a condition of the program, the district was required to expend all the funds by September of 2024. ESSA funds were utilized to hire 5 mental health professionals. A rationale and need to retain the ESSA positions and to expand the program in a phased approach was presented to the board during the March 24th, 2023 board retreat. Since the mental health professionals are not currently included in the district staffing formula, the proposed formula aims to provide equitable mental health staffing support to all schools. This agenda item was reviewed at the Policy and Personnel Committee meeting of the board on April 15, 2024, and is aligned with goals B and C of the board's strategic action plan.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the mental health professional staffing formula with an approximate investment of $491,000.
A second.
I have a motion by Mr. Suffren and a second by Mrs. Boudreaux. Is there any board discussion? If not, please cast your votes. Item 4.06, mental health professional staffing formula is unanimously approved. Next item is student health services school nurses staffing formula. This agenda item was reviewed at the Personnel and Policy Committee meeting of the board on Monday, April 15, and is aligned with goals B and C of the board's strategic action plan.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the Student Health Services School Nurses Staffing Formula with an approximate investment of $229,000.
I second it.
Thank you, Mr. Suffren and Mrs. Weber. So there's a motion and a second. Is there any board discussion? If not, please cast your vote. Item 4.07, Student Health Services School Nurses Staffing Formula is unanimously approved. Our next item are the personnel items. Staffing management is necessary to maintain effective functioning of the St. Charles Parish Public Schools. The Human Resources Department provides a staffing update monthly to the board. This agenda item was reviewed at the Personnel and Policy Committee meeting on Monday, April 15th, and is aligned with Goal C of the board's strategic action plan.
Mr. President, I move that we receive the personnel items as presented to the board.
A second.
I have a motion by Mr. Suffren and a second by Mrs. Boudreaux to receive the personnel items as presented to the board. Is there any discussion? If not, please cast your vote. The personnel items are unanimously received by the board. Brings us to item 4.09, Board Policy and Procedure 4.3.3C, Pre-Employment Criminal History Records Information Checks, second reading and adoption. This item, St. Charles Parish Public Schools is required to submit fingerprints and receive criminal history records information for the purpose of hiring district employees and employees for contracted staffing agencies. The FBI Criminal Justice Information Information Services oversees the regulations to govern the release of information, exchanges, and to require states to regulate access, use, quality, and dissemination of state-held records. The Human Resources Department has developed processes to adhere to these regulations. This agenda item was reviewed and accepted for a first reading at the meeting of the board on March 20th, 24, and is aligned with Goal C of the board's strategic action plan.
Mr. President, I move that we approve Board Policy and Procedure 4.6.3C, pre-employment criminal history record information checks for a second reading and adoption.
I second it.
I have a motion by Mr. Suffren and a second by Mrs. Weber to approve Board Policy and Procedure 4.6.3C, pre-employment criminal history records information checks for a second reading and adoption. Is there any board discussion? If not, please cast your vote. Item 4.09 is unanimously approved. Next item is revisions to Board Policy 3.3.3, gifts and bequests for a second reading and adoption. This, upon review of Board Policy 3.3.3, revisions are required as mandated by law. The revisions also include a title change. This agenda item was reviewed and accepted for a first reading at the meeting of the board on March 20th, 24, and is aligned with Goal D of the board's strategic action plan.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the recommended revisions to Board Policy 3.3.3, gifts and bequests for a second reading and adoption.
Have a motion by Mr. Suffren and a second by Mr. Oquan. Is there any board discussion? If not, please cast your vote. Item 4.10 is unanimously approved. The next item is request for qualifications for alcoholic beverage service for an alcoholic beverage service vendor. Based on the expiration of the current vendor contract with the Dr. Rodney R. LaFawn Performing Arts Center, the district is requesting to seek qualifications to provide a vendor to serve alcoholic beverages at select non-school events and rentals. This agenda item was reviewed at the Finance and Audit Committee meeting of the board on Monday, April 15, 2024, and is aligned with Goal D of the board's strategic action plan.
Mr. President, I move that we authorize the request for qualifications for alcoholic beverage service provider.
A second.
Have a motion by Mr. Gregson, and who's the second, Mrs. Boudreaux? I couldn't distinguish whose voice it was. Is there any board discussion? If not, please cast your votes. Item 4.11, request for qualifications for an alcoholic beverage service vendor is unanimously approved. Next is item 4.12, acceptance of janitorial and paper supplies. In order to have quality products at the best price, the distribution center sought bids for janitorial and paper supplies. The bid opening was held on Friday, March 22nd, And this agenda item was reviewed at the Finance and Audit Committee meeting on Monday, April 15th, and is aligned with Goal D of the Board's Strategic Action Plan.
Mr. President, I move that we accept the bids for janitorial and paper supplies as recommended.
I second.
Have a motion by Mr. Gregson and a second by Mrs. Boudreaux. Is there any board discussion? If not, please cast your votes.
My computer's gone haywire.
Okay.
Whatever reason. Anyway, kick it, Mark. Just Mark Lane.
Need Stephanie?
Well, I got a couple of more items.
Okay. Item 4.12, bid acceptance for janitorial and paper supplies is unanimously approved. Item 4.13, resolution for the issuance of $20 million of general obligation school bonds. As a part of the process for issuing general obligation Series 2024 bonds, the school board is required to approve a resolution authorizing and incurring of debt and issuance of $20 million of general obligation school bonds, Series 2024 of School District Number 1 of the Parish of St. Charles, State of Louisiana, and providing other matters in connection therewith. This resolution was prepared by Foley and Udell, the district's bond attorney. This agenda item was reviewed at the Finance and Audit Committee meeting of the board on Monday, April 15, 2024, and is aligned with Goal D of the board's strategic action plan.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the resolution authorizing the issuance of $20 million of general obligation school bonds.
I second.
Have a motion by Mr. Gregson and a second by Mrs. Boudreaux to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance of $20 million of general obligation school bonds. Is there any discussion? If not, please cast your vote. You working, John? Okay.
You asked for discussion.
Item 4.13, resolutions for the issuance of $20 million of general obligation school bonds is unanimously approved. Item 4.14, recruitment and retention payment to district employees. This agenda item was reviewed at the Finance and Audit Committee meeting of the board on Monday, April 15, 2024, and is aligned with goals C and D of the board's strategic action plan.
Mr. President, I recommend approval of a $2,000 recruitment and retention payment to full-time and permanent part-time employees at an estimated cost of $4.5 million. This $2,000 recruitment and retention payment will be made in October of 2024.
I second.
Have a motion by Mr. Gregson and a second by Mrs. Boudreaux to approve the recruitment and retention payment to employees as presented. Is there any discussion? If not, please cast your vote. Item 4.14, recruitment and retention payments to district employees is unanimously approved. Brings us to item 4.15, accounts payable for the month of March 2024 in the amounts of, at a cost of $2,720,269 to the general fund, $1,222,256 to special revenue funds, $2,018,936 to capital projects funds for a grand total of $5,961,461.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the accounts payable for the month of March 2024, the grand total of $5,961,461.
I second.
I have a motion by Mr. Gregson and a second by Mrs. Boudreau. Is there any board discussion? If not, please cast your vote. Item 4.15, accounts payable for the month of March 2024 is unanimously approved. That brings us to our closing items. 5.01, standing committee reports. If there is any chairman of a standing committee that has a report to deliver, you can do so now.
Mr. President, the Finance and Audit Committee, consisting of myself, Ms. Karen Boudreau, and Mr. Al Suffren, met on Monday, April the 15th. We discussed 6 items. The request for qualifications for alcoholic beverage service vendor at the LPAC, bid acceptance for janitorial and paper supplies, resolution of the issuance of $20 million of general obligation school bonds, accounts payable for the month of March 2024, and also the recruitment and retention payments of $2,000 to district employees being paid in October 2024. Also, Mr. White and Ms. Gales provided the board with an update regarding the district's Hurricane Ida expense recovery, which was committee meeting only. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Gregson. Anyone?
Mr. President, the Legislative Committee met on Monday, April 15th. Those committee members are myself, Mr. John Smith, and Ms. Karen Boudreau. We had a legislative update from our lobbyist, Mr. Lenny Kapowski. We've been getting regular updates from Ms. Regina McMillan, Ms. Paula Johnson, and of course the superintendent. As many people may be aware, it's a very active session in Baton Rouge, this legislative session. So I think we need to stay on top of a lot of bills that are being presented that directly impact our district here. Of course, we know the House Bill 745 was passed by the House, which could directly affect the way our district operates. So I think the public needs to be aware that many other bills are on the table, and we may need to be more actively involved with our legislative people up in Baton Rouge to either approve some of these bills or to oppose them so that they don't affect our school districts. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Quinn.
The Risk Management and Insurance Committee, consisting of Mr. Cody and Mr. Oakland and myself, met this past Monday. We reviewed 2 separate proposals for insurance brokers. Both items were brought to the table and voted on this evening. The committee would also like to recognize the work of Ms. Daranisha Gales on the district's recent property insurance renewal. This item was presented and approved during a special board meeting on Wednesday, April 10th. The diligence and expertise of Ms. Gales and her team helped bring in the district property insurance renewal at a 16% decrease. In our current rate environment, to receive a decrease in premiums is a testament to our district's proactive approach to building maintenance, thoughtful negotiations, and overall superb operating standards. Thank you, Ms. Gales. This concludes the Risk Management and Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mrs. Weber.
Mr. President, the Personnel and Policy Committee, consisting of myself, Mr. Alexander, and Mr. Cody, held a meeting on Monday, April 15th, and we covered 6 items. 5 of the 6 items were on the agenda for the full board to consider during this meeting, and they were approved. Those items were Phase 2 and 3 Department Reorganization Plan, the English Language Program Staffing Formula, the Mental Health Professional Staffing Formula, Student Health Services School Nurses Staffing Formula. The personnel items were received as presented to the board. Also, for committee discussion only, Lean Frog was contracted to conduct a comprehensive organizational review of St. Charles Parish Public Schools and provide insight and recommendations to improve department structure, reduce inefficiencies, align staff and processes, and optimize resources to better serve students and staff. Lean Frog President and CEO Byron Hedrick provided a report to the committee summarizing recommendations from their organization review. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Suffering, for your report. That brings us to our last and final item of tonight, the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hava High School's graduation will be held on Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. Destrian High School's graduation will be held on Thursday, May 16th, 2024. Both ceremonies will be held at the Pontchartrain Center for 6 p.m. Destrian High School's Ring Night ceremony will be held at the LPAC on Monday, May 6th at 6 p.m. Hamville High School's Ring Night ceremony will be held at the LPAC on Tuesday, May 7th at 6 p.m. St. Charles Parish Public Schools will host our annual Teacher Job Fair on Tuesday, April 23rd. While the nation is experiencing a critical shortage of teachers and Louisiana school systems are also experiencing the same, 135 candidates are attending the job fair this year. Since all interview slots have been filled and we continue to receive applications for potential positions, principals will interview additional teachers who apply for these teaching positions for the 24-25 school year after. We thank the board for recognizing the importance of our teachers and ensuring they are among the highest compensated in the state, and we thank our recruiting and retention efforts that the district has initiated and continues each and every day to make sure our teachers are provided a high-quality environment to teach each and every day. Each spring, the Louisiana Department of Education administers assessments known as LEAP 2025 in grades 3 through 8. Students in grades 3 through 8 will take computer-based LEAP 2025 assessments. The LEAP 2025 will be administered beginning May 6th through May 10th. Schools will send their testing schedules as the testing dates draw near. High school students enrolled in LEAP courses will take the assessments from May 8th through May 10th. All high school students not taking LEAP assessments will participate in asynchronous learning these days. The high schools will communicate more information. Don't hesitate to contact your child's school for further information relative to LEAP 2025 assessments and schedules. And finally, before concluding, I do want to recognize Ms. Jordan Reed of the Satellite Center Facilitator and Ms. Regina McMillan, our Public Information Officer, for filling in for Mr. Mason Dolphin while he's been absent. It's certainly very thankful for their all-in approach to running this tonight's board meeting. Thank you. And Mr. President, that concludes.
Thank you, Dr. Orland.
I move to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Motion and a second to adjourn. If there's no opposition, this meeting is adjourned.